Greetings, fellow investigators, and welcome to our video podcast, Into the Darkness, where my friends and I play the Call of Cthulhu role-playing game. I'm your host, Tom Rayleigh. We are continuing our scenario called Bonefire. It was written by Sean Little, and he is also our keeper. This is episode 2. A recap will be given by me as my character, Fred Froggy Gilman. So without any further delays, let's continue our journey into the darkness. September is a good month for collecting various isopods, and it was my intention of doing exactly that when I was called to the office of the dean, along with 2 professors and 2 students. Dean Malmston told us about a little village in Minnesota named Carina, out in the farm country. He said for 2 years, they had experienced an unusual weather pattern that robbed them of rain and consequently their harvests. This began in 1923 and lasted until this harvest, but now they are experiencing an unprecedented bumper crop of unusually enormous vegetables and fruits. And as we later learned, pigs too. We took the train out of Boston to get there. It was an okay trip. The stewards must clean pretty well because I found nothing worthwhile on the train except a rather bloated female Latrodectus mactans living between the seat and the rear wall. It does make me wonder if at some point they will find her sack of eggs that she laid. Okay, I also found this letter from the dean's brother slipped into my things. Now, I don't know who put it there, but I really don't like people going through my stuff. Anyway, Ingrid Shattuck, with the help of a Swedish couple, managed to figure out the words at the bottom, something about people in town acting abnormally and something about the equinox. Honestly, it sounded like some of the nonsense that my relatives would talk about when they thought us kids weren't really listening. Times and portents and watching the stars for signs that things might be coming around again. You know, fishing folk can be as dense as farming folk. We arrived in Little River and met the mayor. He looked a great deal like his brother, the dean. He took us out to the market and showed us around. It was a farmer's market like you often see in the country, but the fruits and vegetables were enormous. I wanted to look for unusual signs of insect incursion, but I didn't find any. I doubt that insects are involved unless maybe they have a species of Hymenoptera the size of a rat. Oh, that would be so sweet. I would name it like Apis ingenus. Anyways, we asked the mayor about the message, and he admitted things here were strange, and that there was some festival on the equinox about a week away. I wasn't fully paying attention because I find such things kind of silly, like Ancestors' Day back at home. Superstitious nonsense, if you ask me. There was something, too, about a meteor, a bolide, that exploded in the sky back in 1923. It's not next thing we're going to start sacrificing virgins to the goddess of springtime or something very Swedish. I am reticent to eat any of this stuff, but I was interested to watch Professor Delcourt take a bite. I'm going to keep my eye on him. I don't think his ears could get any larger, but who knows? Ingrid says she saw a huge pig being chopped up and made into sausages. What is going on here? Something is making these weird things happen. We are going to head over to Carina tomorrow. I sure hope the bugs there are better than they are over here.
Thanks, Tom. Excellent. So, when last we spoke, you saw the truck driving away, the truck that was the converted refrigeration unit. The doors were double doors that were opened wide. They had things pile up around it, and they weren't, sorry, the doors weren't open wide. They could be open wide, and when they were open, you were able to see, or Ingrid was able to see, the giant sow or hog within. pieces of it, at least large chunks of it left, pieces removed, of course. So the truck is now driving away. If you care to ask anyone at that stall, they'll just say, "Oh, well, that was just dropping off, meats for the market, and so it's off for delivery now." And then they just make wide smiles and ask if you'd like to purchase anything, if you'd like to try sample any meats, whatever. They're just pushing their wares like they would at any market, farmer's market, in a friendly way. The mayor's over there. Just, the mayor is wandering around still. He wanders to you and away from you. He's talking to people. He's just doing his mayoral duties at the farmer's market.
So if I'm back around these other people, I'm like, so what do you think about this? Something's got to be unnatural about what's making all this stuff grow big.
Yeah, I'd agree. I mean, growing up on the farm, I didn't really, nothing this size, and let alone a giant hog. I mean,
no, not at all. Nothing like that. And feeding this produce to the animals make them get that big. That's not natural. It can't be.
Timing on all of this with the meteors is a little strange to me. That still weighs on my mind.
I do wonder if they found any pieces of that meteor. I think I recall in that article something about one of the university professors trying to get samples of it.
It's possible, but whether it's a cause of anything, who knows?
Well, I mean, we know our biology, don't we? I mean, plants live and work, and they do what they do because of chemicals, and you can enhance the soil with things. But, I've seen big pumpkins before, but it's usually the farmer, just for the fun of it, he'll only let one pumpkin grow, and he'll baby it and he'll nurse it all summer long. But not like crops of them, because the plant can't provide that much nutrients. So maybe you're right. Maybe there could be something in the soil with the meteorite.
If not, there's a university nearby. Perhaps they've been experimenting with new fertilizers, and the farming folk they're strange. They don't like giving away their secrets to outsiders. Maybe they think we're here to take it away back to our university and steal their secrets from them, which is silly, but maybe that's why they're not being very forthcoming.
Well, the dean said he thinks about feeding the world. It doesn't go with physics. You can't just magically get something from nothing. Something's got to be coming from somewhere.
And
soil samples would be a good idea, I think, at least.
Absolutely.
Definitely. And I know that there's the phrase, "you are what you eat," but this is a little ridiculous.
Well, the people don't look particularly bigger. I'm sure they've been eating all this stuff for a while now, huh?
And when I asked the butcher, he said, when I asked him what they'd been feeding it, he said that they were feeding it their own scraps. So if
water samples too. I think we should get some water samples. What are they irrigating these fields with?
Yeah. I'm only going to drink bottled water.
And well, if it's the water, perhaps that's also in dealing with the pig. It has to drink too.
Well, I'm going to collect some samples, and then I'm going to take a look at them under a microscope when we get back.
That's a good, excellent idea, Fred.
Yeah, I agree. Acquire some samples and try and see if we can find any hard data about anything. Because right now all we have is conjecture and possible connections to either, an asteroid or a meteor or whatever, some sort of anomaly in the sky, and something under a microscope.
If they have found some substance that's making their plants and animals grow, they're probably going to keep it a secret because they'll think that they're going to make millions and millions of dollars.
I'm saying. Yeah, maybe they just don't want to tell us.
We might have to do some sneaking around.
We might have to.
You'd think the mayor would be in on this then. Like, why ask us to come if this was some little town secret that they wanted to make big money on?
That's true. In fact, he was the one who was worried about all this. According to him, this is not natural. I mean, I can attest. Swedish people do not normally act like this. This is very much not what they do. They are normally very reticent.
He's a politician, so maybe he's eating steak and lobster all night long and not eating the local food.
It's possible.
Did he say that it's been a change in the attitude of people year over year? That last year or year before they are acted differently than they have this year?
Yeah.
But they were starving last year.
Well, yes, but generally, attitudes tend to stay remote, somewhat similar, but not always.
Oh. I'll check and see if it's affecting the insects, because there's a lot of insects that eat plants.
And you'd think if you'd find some, that they might be big too, don't you think?
That would be so awesome. I mean, I might be able to, find a new species or something. That would be like, oh my God.
Easier to see if nothing else.
I don't know. If we get chased around by giant crickets, I might be out of this one. We'll see though.
Crickets won't hurt you. Even big crickets shouldn't hurt you.
All right.
Big hornets might hurt you.
I don't think I needed to know that.
I'd like to see their farms. I'd like to get out and see their farms.
Exactly. Yeah, that's a good idea.
Me too. Really.
Definitely.
We should. What time of day is it? Is it like afternoon at this point? Or?
It's first thing in the morning. You had breakfast, and the mayor drove you out to the market so you could see for yourselves.
Okay.
But now, are we not going to Karina till tomorrow?
You're going today, actually. What the mayor comes back. He says, "So have you seen all you want to see?" What he's done is he's arranged for you to have a place to stay out on the outskirts of Karuna, rather.
Well, Mr. Mayor, what I'd like to know is, how do the farmers feel about us poking around their farms?
Well, I'll tell you, there's two groups. You've got the younger families, the people with the kids, the people, their 40s, their 30s, or 20s, the ones that are working the fields, not the older folk. I mean, the way this community works, the older folk they reach a certain age, they sit back, they enjoy life. The younger folk, they're enjoying the profits. They're enjoying the benefits from this happening. They haven't come to me and complained, but I know that the university the town council is voting on Tuesday about making a call to the university. People have been happy so far to date. I personally, because of my connection to my brother and my knowledge of science, because I have a university degree as well in biology, I think there's something up. I want something to be dealt with, but I want my brother's university to be the ones to make whatever discoveries are made.
But do you think that we're going to encounter any kind of hostility?
They're a very calm people. I mean, they're my people. They hunt, they log, they farm, they work hard. They love their cold winters, it seems. We always do. But I'm telling you, I haven't seen any signs of anger, nothing but happiness, nothing but friendliness. They're outward going. They're not normally like this.
Right.
Well, then maybe that would indicate that they don't know what's causing this.
I don't know. I did ask, and they just said, "Oh, it's just a good year." They seem to think it's a good year. Depending on who you speak to, they might. There's a few that say, the old gods are helping us along. The old gods from back in the old country. Then there's ones that just say it was just a cyclical. You have a good year, you have a couple bad years, then you have a great year. It's up and down. You don't know. Nobody's really given any excuses. They're doing things exactly the same as I can tell. I've driven around, but you can stay at my cottage near Karuna. It's outside the village, or it's the community rather. It's outside of the community. My housekeeper will make sure you have everything you need. She's not from the community. She's actually from down the way a bit. I bought the cottage from her family. Her name is Jessie Brown. But she'll come and go once a day. She'll make sure you have what you need. She'll bring you food from town if you need. She'll set you up anyway.
We appreciate that, sir.
Could you refresh my memory a bit? How far away? How long of a travel will it be?
Well, we can drive in my vehicle after we pick up your bags. I mean, my assistant here can drive us, and it'll maybe 45 minutes.
Oh, okay.
Back roads. A little slow. It's out of town. I mean, it's a little ways out of town.
I'll go get my stuff.
Yeah.
Right then.
Oh, well, shall we drive back to the hotel to load up?
Yeah, sounds good. And you said we're going to be staying at your cottage, and there'll be room enough for everybody. No.
There's 3 bedrooms. You'll have to divide up yourselves. There's a kitchen. There's a dining room. There's a nice patio outside with a table. You can actually view. You're up on a hill. You can view the community of Karuna from the hill. You can look down into the valley where all the farms exist. You see the forests on the north and the that would be the east. Yeah, you can certainly have a good view of what there is.
All right.
And beautiful starry nights.
Sounds lovely.
My thoughts exactly.
All right.
All right. Well, the vehicle pulls up. It's ready to go, and the mayor waves over to his assistant, and your bags were already ready to go at the hotel, so they're in the vehicle in the trunk, well, the boot, whatever you want to call it, and so they're driving you off down the dusty roads. I mean, it's forested. You see a little bit of a difference. You move out of the city, and immediately becomes beautiful, untouched countryside for a while. Then you proceed into an area where definitely the forests had been clear cut at one point, quite a bit, and they're regrowing. So there's small 20-year-old trees, not quite as old as they used to be, planted in rows rather than the normal haphazard way that trees grow. You see the occasional farmer's field, small farmhouses of North American traditional, what you would normally see. And then eventually, after about 45-minute drive, you arrive at this beautiful little cottage. It has wonderful English-style gardens, overgrown butterflies and birds flying around, and trees planted around it. A lot of birch trees. They seem to be prominent, and again, about 25 years old. Somebody planted them at one point. They're watered, it seems, from a small creek that goes by to the north. They draw water from it to irrigate the trees in the gardens. And as you pull up, there's a lady waiting for you, and she's a stout, short little short, stout little woman, but she's very determined and very smiling. She waves at you as you arrive. She says, "Oh, our guests have arrived. Greetings. Please carry your things in, and let's get you set up in your bedrooms."
All right.
So,
okay. Yep. We'll start grabbing all the suitcases and equipment and hauling them in.
Up we go.
All right.
it's a well-lived-in cottage. It's very nice, and it's not opulent, but it's definitely not ramshackle. It's well kept, and there's it looks like somebody lives here occasionally. The mayor probably spends the occasional weekend through the summer and in the winter here for just to get away from the city. But there's nobody living here now, obviously. So it has a beautiful view out the back window. There's a patio with some chairs and umbrellas that can be removed and put away. And you can see the valley drops off almost right from the edge of the yard. Beautiful, deep green, lush grasslands leading down to a road. And you can see houses in the distance clustered around the road crossings. And there's forest in the distance as well. And beautiful farm fields, lush green and yellow and, well, mostly green and yellow flowers and such, white, whatever makes sense, the appropriate type of plant. Orange for pumpkins. He says, I've actually provided you a map as well, if you're interested, help you assist you in your work.
And do the local farmers know ahead of time that we're going to be roaming around and taking a look at things?
I have not let all of them know, but he's provided you with a letter written in Swedish that will introduce you to anyone that asks, signed by him. And he says, I can read this to you. Essentially, it just says that you're here on my behalf. You're looking into the wonderful, outstanding growth of the agriculture this year, and that you're here on my behalf only, to investigate and to determine what exactly has happened, just to try to get a good handle on things.
Okay.
Okay.
So looking at that map, where at the very south, is that where the cottage is?
Yes, that's correct.
And then the lots, I see lot 1, 2 to 9-1 or 9-2. Are those all owned by different families? Or could you tell me a little bit more about those?
Yeah, of course. What you will find is when the community was initially formed, they went with, rather than typical Minnesota ways of breaking up land, they went with the fashion that a family were awarded one of the lots. Now the families are not necessarily these lots are not owned by one family, but one family is the prime family that runs that lot, and a few other smaller families and workers will assist them and share in the profits of the lots. It's almost like dare I say it, it's almost like a commune like thing.
Everyone who works will take part in the reaping of the rewards.
Right.
In a way, they get work, they get paid. The family who owns the lot are the prime receivers of the fees, but they pay their people accordingly.
It's the same sort of system with like fishing folk, that the community sort of shares the bounty together.
Okay. That makes sense. All right, so there are probably several families that are the more prominent ones, but any of them should know what we would need, I would think.
I don't know that they will know what you need. I would say most likely they're more likely to know you're here on my behalf and you're just investigating. The university has been here multiple times, looking into various other things. The university acts on behalf of the agriculture department to verify that people are, their animals are healthy, there's no disease, that sort of thing.
I think
so they're used to government officials.
I think that we could be. I mean, these are simple folk out here, so if we wander onto their property to get soil samples, as long as we're not damaging anything, they probably don't care. I was just asking if there's going to be any sort of hostile person that's going to shoot at us. And we probably don't have to visit all the lots. We just need samples, from here and there. And
well, then I don't think you'll have any problems. I can't imagine. You certainly can contact me if you do run into any difficulties. But I will say, if you do need some assistance immediately, Nicholas Engberg. Niklas Engberg. It's Niklas Engberg. He writes that name down for you. Niklas Engberg. He's the person who is probably the closest thing to a mayor the community has. He's an elder, but he's not the eldest. He's certainly someone that I would trust to assist you if you did run into any difficulties.
Thank
you. Okay.
All right. Is there anything else we need to do, we think?
No, I think we should get started. We just don't need to, just don't be up to it. Those are going to ask us questions. We just tell them the truth. That's why we're here.
Mm-hmm.
See no reason why they wouldn't be amiable.
I mean, we could potentially, if we discover what's causing this, we could, bring it every year. Who knows?
That would be nice.
It literally could be just the right combination of chemicals in the soil.
Hmm. Well, I
Well-
suppose we won't.
One quick question. Looking at that
Yes.
that map again, lot 9-1 and 9-2, is that owned and worked by the same family group of people? Do you know?
The easternmost areas. No. Lot 9, it at one time was a lot that was dedicated to as you'll note, the center area of Corunna, lots 1 through 8, they're devoid of trees. They were clear cut when the logging operations began a generation or two, a few generations ago. Lots 9, 1, 9-1 and 9-1, 9I and 1 and 2 rather. Those were set aside by the elders of the community to not ever be logged. So you'll note there is a forest area in the middle, and that area is never to be logged. It's to be left as old forest. 9-2 is owned by one family. 9-1 is actually owned by Mr. Engberg. And they might have their own little personal, gardens perhaps. But 9-2 is where it actually Millac is there. And that is where they would ship off, originally logs would be shipped off across. Now it's just used for recreational boating and some transit to other communities and such. But it's 2 separate families. And no, there's no farms there generally, and no logging.
Well, that's very important because if what's our little running theory about some meteorite, we'd want to check soil samples from the farmed land and from the unfarmed land.
Mm-hmm.
And probably, I'm just a history student, but growing up on the farm, probably the land right around the lake too, and the river, and probably any rainwater if we happen to get that while we're around here.
Probably from out
good.
here too. We should see if there's any difference.
Millac is not the water supply for the farms, is it?
Well, it's a valley. Rainwater comes from down the hills down. It's there's quite a bit of water usually. They've had a dry year, as you know, but they certainly, when they do need water, they will bring it in from the lake by truck. Yes, if they need it, they can do that.
So I would I think we ought to sample at least some of the lake water as well, just in case.
I think we've got enough.
And ask if the farmers themselves, they may be irrigating with water not from the lake. Maybe if they let us just have a sample of anything that they are keeping.
Yeah. We should also ask them if there's anything weird on their land other than gigantic vegetables.
Keep an eye out for large livestock.
Yes, and perhaps a crater wherever this thing may have landed. If it
Oh,
landed.
I imagine if it was of any size and it hit the ground, it would leave a crater the size of the whole town.
Mm-hmm.
He reaches over to the table and picks up the map. He goes, "Oh my gosh!" He goes, and he takes it and he says, "Just a moment, please. This is my personal copy." He says, "Here, I've got another copy for you in this." And he opens up a tube and pulls it out, and he gives you this copy. And you notice there's something different. I mean, between this one and the previous one.
Yeah.
So
It's kind of a lozenge.
Yeah, it was now that you see this one, the previous one, that was a pencil mark on the map. And it was in pencil, and it was like a HB, like a fairly dark pencil. And he had scribbled a few notes on the back of the map too, but he's given you this clean copy. Sorry, I did dabble myself in some investigations of just poking around, seeing where the good harvests were. But I will leave it up to you scientists to do the work. Now it is Saturday. I believe it's Saturday. Am I correct in that? It is Saturday. So the festival, as they will refer to you, this is going to occur. It occurs on Monday evening. So you've got a day or two to poke around. And like I said before, they will be having their church services on Sunday. They will probably invite you. It is not taken as an insult if you do not wish to attend. But they will feel the need to invite you.
We understand.
So I'll if you don't need anything else from me, I'll make my way back to town. There's no telephone in the cottage. However, Mrs. Brown, she lives right up the road with her husband. They do have a telephone there. So, and he points up the road, and you can't see the house, but you assume it's within a short distance because she doesn't have a car with her. She has a bicycle.
So this area, I assume we don't really have transportation. How far is it from one end of the valley to the other end? Can we walk it in an hour?
He thinks about it. He says, well, within an hour, you could walk down the highway from one end to the other. But would you like me to arrange for a vehicle for you?
Well, not necessarily. I mean, we're literally going to be going from one farm to the next, taking a little sample. We might as well just, we could start at both ends and
Might be easier that way.
or walk down this road, up this road into the middle, and then go in both directions and then meet back up in the middle.
It is definitely walkable, and the weather is nice. It's not hot. It's Minnesota. It's bicycles. Not cold. He says bicycles. He looks over at Mrs. Brown, and she says, we have 4. We don't have enough for everyone. We have 4. The children, when they come home, we all take rides along the roads and such.
Well, maybe you guys. I'm not particularly good at bicycles. I was kind of joking, but my sense of balance isn't very good. I can swim, but
it might be a good way to get around town, get around
Agreed.
all the settlements.
And if do these bikes have baskets on them, or can they be fitted with them?
There's definitely 2 baskets, 2 of them with baskets, but they're very small. They're wicker. They're not.
Because you put your backpack or something to carry stuff.
Okay.
Maybe that's what we do. We do this systematically. I'll go in the middle, and you guys go out to the ends, and we don't all have to be together to take soil samples.
No, of course not. Yes, that makes sense to me.
I was going to say, if you're going to invite us to the services tomorrow, I'm sure my mom would appreciate me heading over that way on a Sunday. So perhaps I can spend an hour or two doing that while you go out and collect some samples.
Yes, that could be
Sure.
helpful.
Cool. I'm going out right now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
Sooner we get started, the better.
Okay. Well, your equipment, you've brought your bags in. You haven't set up, but I mean, there's 3 bedrooms rather upstairs. The living room has a couch, an easy chair, a fireplace, small fireplace. It's more of a wood stove than a fireplace. There is a kitchen with a small table to prepare on. There is a dining room with a large harvest table that could be used for any purpose. There's chairs around it. There is a cellar, which has a bit of a workshop in the basement. You haven't seen it yet, but the mayor told you there's a workshop in the basement for you can use if you wish. There's the 3 bedrooms are upstairs. There's an outhouse, and there is a patio, as I noted, that has a view. And as he's leaving, he mentions something to Mrs. Brown, and she says, well, if there's anything you need, and she waves at the mayor as he drives away. She goes, but by the way, she goes, he thinks you might be interested in the telescope. There's actually a telescope in the closet. It may be nice for looking at the stars this evening.
Perhaps, yes. I suppose, where do we want to set up? I think we could set most of the equipment on the dining room table.
Yeah.
And then commandeer the workshop if we need to, I don't know.
I mean, there's lots of light in here, so we could, set up the microscope and let's get it all set up. And I want to go out and get some bugs.
Set up an impromptu lab in his house and then hit the road.
Mm-hmm.
All right. I'll give you takes you like an hour to unpack, and then half an hour to shuffle things around, get yourselves ready to go. And you're set. She's going to go home. She helps you move a few things around. She points out that there's a full pantry with some preserved and canned vegetables and fruit from the city. She purchased at the city, not recently. This is stuff from a while ago. There is an ice box that has some food in it. Nothing really. She bought some milk, and she bought some cheese, and she bought some butter. She bought just basics for you. There's a loaf and a half of bread. There's just basic food. You have food for a couple of days.
Is the produce the giant produce, or does it look normal sized?
It actually looks normal sized. The food in the larder looks like she canned it last fall or something, or the spring. It doesn't look like anything that's out of the ordinary in size.
Okay.
I do, however, snag a couple pieces of the normal produce from the ice box to use as a control for comparison to the other giant produce.
Yep, it's not going anywhere. You can do that anytime you like. Sure.
Right.
All right. I'm off to hunt bugs.
Okay.
Samples.
Well, I'll bring the map up again for myself. If you did everybody get a good screenshot of it?
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Yeah, for the most part.
There's 10 lots. There's 5 of us. We could each take 2 lots and just even Froggy. I know you're after your bugs, but maybe if you could at least collect a little bit of soil or something, that'd be helpful.
Well, yeah, I'm gonna. We're down here where it says to Little Falls, right?
That's right.
Mhm.
You are in that house. Those 2 houses there. One is a house. One is
Right.
a garage that doesn't have any car in it. Though the larger one is actually looks like the smaller one. Looking out from the patio, you can see all except the half of lot 1 and 5. You can see all the way to lots 2, 6 AB, lot 7, 8, 3, 4, and then over towards lot 9. You can see all of that from the patio. You can see the houses. You can see people milling about, doing their everyday gardening work. You're up a little ways. You're up a couple 100 feet, maybe not that much, but you're up a ways. It's a good size hill.
Since I'm walking, I'll just walk along the road. Lot 6 A and B, I'll hit, and then I might walk a little bit towards. I'll take the right fork on the road when it comes. I'll just walk for a while and get some samples and see if I can find any gigantic insects. That would be awesome.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't have a ton of experience collecting samples, but if you can give me a little direction and just tell me where you want me to go, I'll do it.
It's just getting dirt.
All right.
Just
That's
getting
all it
dirt
is.
and
That's what I'll do.
It's getting dirt, but it's making sure that you label where the dirt came from. That's the important part.
Okay. All right. I
Yeah,
can do that.
You have jars with labels and lids, and collecting soil samples. You don't need to refrigerate them, so you can collect them.
Yeah, no, but you don't want them to sit baking in the sun.
No.
either, so.
But you don't have to.
Right.
You don't have to have coolers and that. Water samples, you got a little bit of a little issue there, but for what you're doing, you can certainly. So just everyone, tell me where you are going, so I can determine things. I know that Froggy's going down the road past where it says lot 6 A and B and heading to the right. Where is everyone else heading?
I think I'm gonna head more toward lot 1 and 5.
Okay.
Just because, there's not really much else out there and it's not as far to go.
Okay. All right. Make a little note. Good.
Yeah, I mean, as long as there are no objections, I'm a young man. I can head over to take the long walk to 9-1 and 9-2, unless someone else would prefer to go over there and collect those samples.
No, that's fine.
I'll take 4 and 8.
418 912. And Froggy, how far are you going? Are you stopping it to anywhere? Or are you heading on all the way to the end?
Well, they're on bikes and I'm on foot. So
yeah,
probably by the time I make that turn, then they'll have finished and I'll have finished, and we'll meet back up in the middle.
Who wants to hit lot 2 then?
Well, I can get part of that right where the road is.
Okay.
All right. Well, I'd say that as you're all heading out, you're going down the roadway together, bicycles and walking initially. It's a fairly steep road, so the bicycle people get farther first. You see there is a house at the base of the roadway. That's the base of the hill, rather, where it says lot 6A and B. And outside of the house, you see a woman, and she's hanging clothes up on a line. And she waves at you all as you're passing and just smiles friendly like. Says, hello. Just waves. And she has 2 little kids in the back. They're playing in the backyard. And she's just putting up lungs. Once you pass the bicycle pass, she sees Froggy walking down the road, and she hangs up a couple more things on the line, and she walks out to the road and she says, "Oh, are you lost, sir?"
No, ma'am. We're with the university. We're just checking for anything unusual going on. You've been having a bumper crop this year, haven't you?
Oh yes, my husband is more than happy with what we've been growing. It's a wonderful year. We're hoping to be able to purchase a car after this.
Have you noticed anything unusual otherwise, like larger than usual frogs or insects or things like that? I'm thinking like
the weather,
white butterflies.
Yeah, I haven't seen anything out of the ordinary in that aspect. No. I know we've had beautiful nights this summer. The weather's been perfect. But the one thing I noticed that's a little funny, the sound of the crickets at night.
Oh?
They're just, at times they keep me up. That's all.
Do they seem faster or slower than usual? Because it's usually the temperature that regulates. You can actually make calculations as to what the temperature is outside based on the.
I'm not good with math, she says. But she says, but they definitely. I've heard of that before. But I'll tell you, it's not the speed. It's just there's so many of them, and they're loud, very loud.
So there's a large quantity of them.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, very loud, and yes.
Interesting.
That's the only thing I've really noticed. Now I didn't even think about it till you mentioned it now.
Have you had any difficulty with like wasps or things like that on your buildings?
No, we've had nothing out of the ordinary. No, not well. You mentioned that.
Yeah.
And she calls over her daughter. She goes, Ella, have you seen the little, she uses a different word for them, the sting, the wasp things, wasps. And she says, yes. And she just says, in the woods I've seen them.
In the woods.
But not, she goes, we often have them in the shed. We often have them nesting in the shed, but I haven't noticed them this year. This is good. I like this because they sting. I'm always worried about the children. But I haven't seen many of them. No.
Well, would you mind if I just walked around your property a little? I'm basically collecting soil samples and possibly insect samples.
She says, well, of course. What is your name, sir? I haven't.
My name is Fred Gilman.
Fred.
My friends
Very
call
nice.
me Froggy.
Oh, I'm Alva Thornberg. Very
Alva.
Nice to meet you. Alva, this is my daughter Ella, and this is my son Krister.
Okay. I write that in my notebook.
Yeah.
Well, thank you very much. I don't want to be in your way or bother you at all while I'm out here doing this. You might notice some of my friends there on bicycles. going up
Yes,
and
I
down
saw
the
them.
valley.
I saw them
they're-
pass. Yes. Yes.
They're checking some of the other areas.
Oh, fine. Now she doesn't have she has a very small garden, just so you know, but the plants in the garden look normal, just normal sized. You don't see anything out of the ordinary. And they have a house and a shed. There's a horse in the shed. Her husband, it doesn't appear to be home this time. So she's kind of keeping her distance a little bit. She doesn't know you. You're just a strange man walking around the property. But yeah, so you can wander around if you like, whatever you like.
I notice your vegetable gardens rather moderate compared to the bounty that you've been having from your fields.
I think it's because we're up a little bit on the hill. We don't seem to get the
hill.
we're a little. They're part way. They're not quite at the bottom of the hill.
I see. Okay.
I could be wrong. I'm not a farmer.
I mean, it's all these little things are clues as to what's really going on here. But thank you very much.
Oh, you're welcome. Thank you.
Have a nice day.
You too. So are you going to wander around her property, or is that all you're going to do?
Well, I'm looking for differences.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, is there a border to what's going on? In other words, the grass over here looks completely normal. The grass over here is overgrown, or something to indicate that there's a perimeter to this effect.
Yeah, you don't see anything out of the ordinary on her property. So yeah, you can wander around for a while, and that's okay. So right. I will go next to I guess the next closest place would probably be you were heading to the left, were you not, Ingrid?
Yes, for 1 and 5.
Okay, well that's probably closer. So I'll say, okay, so you're just going to ride down the road, and then you're going to turn left where the road crosses, turns left. 2 small houses on either side. One of them you see some people working outside in their own personal vegetable gardens. One across the way has a little pen, and there's goats in the pen. That's the first 2 houses once you make the left.
Okay.
People just wave.
I sort of wave as I'm going by. Do I notice anything about the gardens or the goats that are unusual, or are these normal size?
Well, let me look here. I would say, okay, so could you please make a roll? Let's say investigation. Makes sense? Or natural world, whichever one you prefer.
Investigation that doesn't appear to be a skill, but natural world I have.
Yeah, sorry, I'm mixing up game systems. So what's your armor class? So
it's okay. I get it. I've done it too. 54 out of 50. But you know what? That's what luck's here for. And it's only 4 points anyway.
Okay. The vegetable gardens look very good. It's corn. Is they're growing corn, and what you're an agrology student, so you can pick out that they're growing potatoes, they're growing corn, just things they would eat themselves. The potatoes the plants themselves, the leaves look larger than normal. Not palm leaves or anything like that, but certainly larger than normal, about 30% or so. You first weren't quite entirely sure that it was potato plants until you looked closer. Yeah, it's potatoes. That's potato plants. The corn is taller than normal. Again, 10-20%. Not 80 feet tall. And the thing that you note though is not necessarily the vegetable gardens. You were expecting to see good crops. You were expecting to see that, so it wasn't surprising. The goats, however, you notice these little relatively small young goats, they have more horns than they should have on their heads. The horns are not the nubby little horns you see on the goats of that size. They're actually quite gnarled and misshapen, and there's more horn on their head than there should be. You can see that they've sawed them off to cut them down a little bit to keep them from harming each other. And yes, the goats are also slightly larger than normal. Not, but larger.
I definitely make a mental note of that as I'm going by.
Okay.
But actually, so actually, I'm going to ignore the goats for now. But I think am I on to lot 1 or 5 yet?
Well, this was actually, this was as you're passing through lot 6A and B. Like this is.
Okay. Never mind then. I'll keep going. Just that this isn't my area.
Okay. You continue on. You move on. You get to the next crossroads. It moves north, and then it is actually into lot 2. Is that where you're going to? So, sorry, or are you going to lot 1 or 2?
I'm going to lot 1 and 5.
Okay, so you pass across. You see a crossroad goes to the right, and you see a number of houses down that way on the map. If you look at the map, you continue on, and there's like almost a mini village within the community where there's like houses on either side, 2, 4, 6, 7, 8. You're into lot 1, and there's a large building that looks like a community hall of some sort. Mm-hmm. And then there is a little road that goes off to the left with another 5 houses. So you're now in lot 1 for sure.
Okay.
And there are farm fields, substantial, well-groomed fields. You're seeing now beyond the houses, fairly close to the houses everywhere.
Mm-hmm. And do these look larger than normal, like about the size of the plants we've seen already?
In lot 1, it's not very large. They're like larger than normal, but only slightly. It just looks like a really good year for these crops.
Interesting. So I sort of park, see if there's, is there anybody around or?
You see about 3 or 4 people in the, I'm assuming you're at the part that's where the crossroads goes to the south, and your lot 1 is to the north of you on the road. You're seeing there's some women walking around. There's some children walking around. You do see out in the field to the north part of lot 1, there is a farmer with a horse and a plow, and he's actually plowing in under the soil. He's collecting potatoes, it appears to be.
Okay. I at least want to let somebody know I'm here so that nobody gets like, what are you doing with me? So I guess I'll head over to where those women are. Yeah. Because, if you want word to spread quickly, ask a farm wife or tell a farm wife.
Okay. Yes. So they see you coming, and they stop, and they tell the children, go play. And they say, hello, how are you? Are you visiting family here?
Actually, no, but I park and hop off my bike. I'm actually here from the university. We've received word of your fantastic harvest this year, and we were hoping to see if perhaps we could figure out what's causing it. If because I would think you might wish to recreate this, don't you think?
Oh, it's wonderful! It's wonderful. We're hoping that our families back in Sweden we can send them seed at the end of the year, so we can help this growth spread. It's so wonderful. So many people will benefit from this after there's been drought across North America and elsewhere. So they say, yes, would you like, and they have baskets of, like just miscellaneous foods and such. And would you like to try some? Are you interested?
No, thank you. But what I'm actually here to ask is, would you mind if I took some samples of the soil around here?
Oh, well, they indicate where their family's farms are. The one lady indicates her family is actually the family that owns this lot. So she says, if you wish, she said, feel free to go out to the field to the north there where you'll see it's one of their husbands. He's out there plowing, and then there's some help. And now that you look, there's a guy working on fences with another guy. And then there's some people herding some cows or something. They're just doing farm stuff in various locations north of the road. But she points out her husband is the one running the plow, and they're the ones who are the owners of lot 1.
All right, I'll make sure he knows what I'm doing. Make sure he's all right with it. Just I won't get it in anyone's way. I just want to take a few samples. That's all.
Of course. Would you like some assistance carrying things? We could send one of the children with you.
Well. That should be interesting, in fact. Why not?
Oh, she says, so she calls over one of the boys and she says, Christoph, and she calls the other boy Daniel. Strange name, but it's North America. She says, you help this young lady carry things, would you please? And they happily, they're happy to assist you. So they give a ball to their brother or sister, and or whatever they're playing with, and they say, yep. So they immediately start grabbing things and saying, let's go.
All
Park
right,
your bike here.
I park, and then I start leaning down. I'm like, thank you very much. You can call me Miss Ingrid.
Yes, Miss Ingrid, we will. So you have 2 assistants.
All right. So I, with boys in tow, head over to find the guy on the plow to sort of let him know I'm here, what I'm doing, just so that, I'm going to stay out of your way. Just want to make sure, is it all right if I do this?
Okay. While you're doing that, before we move on to anyone else, what I would say is, can you I'm wondering what would make sense here. I'm not going to tell you what you're going to roll, but please roll and tell me what you get.
Okay. 34.
Good. Okay. The one thing you notice about these kids is they're watching you. They're like, number one, you're an outsider. You're not from around here. You are new to town, and they're probably about 12 or 13, and they're just smiling at you and following you. And but it's not just interest. They seem to have very wide smiles, and they're watching everything you do. That's it.
I keep that in the back of my head and start thinking maybe I shouldn't have asked for the assistance, but I don't let them know that.
Okay. So you can head off into the field. What's your intention? You're going to speak to the farmer, or are you just going to start collecting samples, or what?
Well, I mean, I just sort of wanted, the idea was I just wanted to let them know that what I was doing so that,
sure,
nobody would get suspicious about who's this lady walking around our property.
Okay. Well, so you'll head off with the children into that field. So let's go to the next person, because I'll spread this around a little bit. So who is, so let's see, I was planning on going alphabetically, or not alphabetically, clockwise, but I didn't. So we'll go counterclockwise. Okay, so Solomon, where are you heading in? You're heading off to the far end? Right,
lot 9-1 and 9-2.
Okay, you're going to be a little while to get there, so I'm going to skip over you if that's okay.
Sure.
Roy Delcor, where are you heading? Which area?
So Froggy had the ones on either side coming in 6 and 7, correct?
Yes.
And then so that would leave 2 and 3 above weren't taken, correct? I'll just head up to 2 and 3.
Okay. So I'll just say you're sort of following Ingrid down the roadway, and where she branches off to the left, heading off to 1. You get to the area that has the multiple little clusters of houses there, to area 2. So similar situation. You get to the crossroads, the first crossroads. There's a number of houses, and farmland all starts in between the houses north of the road. There is also farmland south of the road in air lots 6A and B as you're riding your bike past, and it looks very beautiful, very lush. But north of the road, there are definitely a lot of farms, and there's houses and people, quite a few people walking around.
And so it's Saturday, tomorrow's Sunday.
Yes, today's Saturday, yes.
So it's a farming community. Everybody should be working. Does it look like everybody's working, or does it just look like everybody's kind of congregating in any specific areas?
Right now, people are working, doing various things, carrying things, going from house to house, hanging up laundry. Kids are running around playing. They're not working so much. The older kids, once they get to be about 13, you see some younger teenagers assisting their parents.
I'm just going to
few old people, by the way, also walking around.
Old people,
like elders. They're not working so much. They're sort of enjoying the day.
I am just going to go ahead and collect my soil sample, and then I want to start looking around and seeing if I see any wells anywhere. Like, does anybody have like, is there like a main well dug for all the houses, or does each house potentially have its own well, or is it more like, try to find a well?
Okay. Pretty much every home has a well if it's a larger home. Some of the smaller home dug wells. Some of the smaller homes share wells. You'll see that that's actually the situation. When you look at the map, you will find that some of the, where you see a cluster of like 4 or 5 houses, there's one large well and they're all drawing from it, and there's buckets. So there's no pumps.
Yeah, no, definitely. Okay. I don't really want to deal with anybody unless they approach me. So I'm just gonna go ahead and try and get to work and get as many varied samples as I can. So I'll try and visit a couple of the different wells and see if I can just collect some samples, some water samples.
Okay. Are you trying to be stealthy about this, or are you just?
No, it's more the approach of, if I act like I'm doing what I'm supposed to be doing, see what happens.
Okay.
I'm not adverse to them like to talking to them or anything. I just kind of want to see what they do without like social experiment. Let's see how they react to somebody just walking on and starting to take samples.
Okay. Soil samples
extra friendly right now. So
yeah. They're definitely extra friendly, but they do notice when you're crossing into property. So they do take notice when you go beyond the roadway and you're entering someone's backyard, someone's field. So it isn't very long before one of the elders actually comes up to you and says, "Excuse me, son, where are you with the government, perhaps?"
Yeah, kind of, sort of, maybe. I mean, I suppose more here on the behalf of the local government and the university. And I started explaining the mayor asking us to come in and test things out. And I'll pass the copy of the letter to him.
Okay, so I was going to ask who has the letter.
I thought maybe there was more than one copy, but I guess I commandeered the letter.
Yeah, they did. They didn't fax or photocopy it for you. It would have been the Gestetler machine. Okay. I'll assume that since no one else said they grabbed it, you scarfed it and put it in your pocket. So he says, "Oh, it's interesting. Well, then I will speak to others to let them know what you're here for. Thank you very much for doing this. This is what's the purpose? It's to see why things are going so well for us, you say."
Well, yeah, and to see if we can figure out exactly what's doing it, and then we can maybe help other people who might have experienced a drought or a couple of bad years like yourself.
Oh, excellent. So you have, he gives you free reign, but you are now officially being watched. So you do note that everywhere you go, there are people peeking, not hiding. They're not hiding like so you can't see them, but they're definitely watching you. So you can grab soil samples and water samples. No one's questioning that. Some kids might run by and say, "What are you doing, mister?" kind of stuff, but that's about it. Okay. All right. So you're off water sampling. You do notice the same things as others, though. The area you are in particular, you do see a lot of large crops, large vegetables, large leaves, large plants, large everything. You do note a cat, normal sized cat, absolutely normal sized cat. You see a dog. Pretty good sized dog, but not crazy big. You do see out in the field some beef cattle, pretty good sized beef cattle. Like they were talking pretty large. So, but nothing outrageous like the sow that was described by Ingrid. So
Okay.
All right. So while you're looking and doing that stuff, I'll skip over to Louise. Louise, which area were you primarily focusing on?
4 and 8.
4 and 8. Okay. So you are traveling down the road. You're seeing the same things as described by others, or that I described to others. You cross over into the area 4 and 8. And just so you all know, when you are crossing into these different lots, there's definitely fence lines. There's fence lines, rock fence lines, that kind of thing. So there's a boundary marker. And around the whole community, there is a very low, not anything to keep people out, but there's definitely a demarcation around the area of the community. And there was a sign in the front in English and Swedish, "Welcome to Kiruna." So you get to the area 4 and 8. Which one do you wish to focus on first?
I'll start with 8. And this is such a sparsely, at least according to map, pretty sparsely populated little space there. So I'll go speak to both of the homes. It seems like there's only 2 homes here.
Yes.
Just introduce myself and yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Excellent. You get to lot 8, and there's a woman outside, and she's repairing some clothing, sewing some clothing on the front step. And she says, "Oh, hello. Can I help you?"
Yes. My name is Louise Fontenot. I'm with the university. We're here just trying to understand this beautiful agricultural boom you've had recently. It's very impressive, and we were hoping to maybe take some samples to pass on this knowledge, or just learn what you all have done here.
Oh, she says, "Isn't it wonderful?" She goes, It's wonderful. We've had it was such a hard year last year, especially. First year was bad. Last year was even worse because we had some stores from the year previous. And last year we had to use our savings to purchase. We had to go and purchase food from others. It was not what we're used to. But she says, yes, feel free to take a look around. Our farm is not one of the ones that has such wonderful produce. We're just having a good year. And so she points to behind. She goes, "The gate is open. If you need any assistance, please let me know." And you look back, and so you can see the field behind.
Could you tell me your irrigation lines here? Are they pulling water from the lake?
Yes. We when needed, we do send some of the trucks out to pump water. They're old fire engines that we use. We bring water in where needed. We never used to have to. The soil was always quite sodden this towards the end of the year, summer rather, and spring. But we've been bringing in water from the lake, definitely as needed. Mm-hmm.
Thank you very much. And I'll busy myself taking some soil samples, keeping an eye out for anything unusual.
Yep. Okay. Well, while you are wandering around, say spot hidden, please.
Okay. That is a 50, dead on, right on my spot hidden.
Right on your spot hidden. Excellent. Okay. In behind her house, let's say we just say you walk a third of the way, halfway back into the field behind the house into the big open space. And it is a big open field. You see the husband is out there, and he has a couple of assistants out there, some people helping him repair a tractor, say. And they see you coming, and he says, but you see him before they see you, actually. Mm-hmm. And you see them, they're speaking in Swedish. You don't speak Swedish, I'm assuming. No. Not at all. So they're speaking Swedish to one another, and there are two younger men and this middle-aged man. And they're making some kind of gesticulations, just kind of hand gestures, and he has a book in his hands, and it's a red leather book. And as he sees you approach, closes up the book, slips it in his back pocket, and he says, "Can I help you? Can I assist you? Or are you lost?"
Oh no, I'm a researcher from the university, just taking a few soil samples. Really admiring this bumper crop you guys have had in the last year. Very impressive.
It's very good. Our fields are doing well, not as well as some of the others. And he looks back at his wife and gives her a quick wave, and she waves at him as well. He says, "We're enjoying. We're all doing very well. Thank you very much. Feel free to take the soil samples, but we're going to be plowing soon, so you may wish to."
Okay, let me do that quickly. I don't want to be in your way at all.
Okay, so you can collect whatever samples you want to. They put together whatever they're fixing on the tractor. They start it up, and they start moving. He starts moving off, and one of the hands are sort of walking behind the tractor, following him, picking up rocks and throwing them out of the way, kind of thing. So that's it. So that they've wandered off, and they do keep looking back at you, but that's about it. Okay.
Very good.
All right. So let's skip over to Solomon Besler. So everyone else has found their spot and they're doing their parts. What are you up to?
Yeah, so as I roll in on the bicycle, if there are people around on lot 9-1, I'll stop and greet them. But ultimately, I got to make it through what looks like some woods here, get to the lake, probably take a water sample from the lake, and then over on 9-2 a soil sample. And it seems like I got a lot of ground to cover and a lot of samples to take here. So I'll be, pleasant, tip of the hat. If someone's there, I'll stop, get off the bike, and talk. But I got a lot of work to do here.
Yeah, lot 9-1 and lot 9-2. Just so you know, there's only the only agriculture happening here is people's personal gardens. There doesn't.
No, that's right.
They're not.
It's all.
Yeah, they're not growing.
All delogged. Yeah. Well,
it's like hay fields. Like if there's anything, it's a hay field. The road does go through the forest, but it's one of those roads that you see where they've cut the forest around the road, so it's like a tunnel through the trees. And the trees are very lush and they look very nice. And they haven't started turning colors yet, but you can feel it in the air. You collect some samples of the soil in the area of lot 9-1. Nobody questions you. You're just passing through, and as you said, it's a lot of forest more so. It's old forest. It's deep, thick, lush forest, and you're halfway through. And would you please make a roll? I'm opening up your character here so I can look at it.
Yeah.
Could you please make a, let's say, not natural, spot hidden, please, I guess is the most obvious.
Okay. Oh, 92. Yeah, no, that's a fail.
Yeah, you're focused on the road. It's a little bit bumpy. You're a little bit concerned. I just don't want to go off the path into the woods. But could you make a listen as well, though?
79. Well, it'd be 29. That'd be half my luck. Well, if it was closer, I don't know.
I wouldn't advise it. I won't let you do it. I won't let you do it.
Fair enough.
Okay. It's just a nice day. Go through the woods. It's very cool because it's such a thick canopy overhead. And you pop out the other side eventually. It's not very long. You're on a bike. I mean, it's not a super long roadway. And you come up on 3 buildings at the crossroads, and you do see a sign that says to Malacca, little road sign going to your right. The road continues on, splits off to the north, and that roadway going to the north and the road going to Malacca and the little section in between is paved, and it's quite nice. It's almost like it's like transportation has paved it somehow. It's quite a nice road. The rest of the roads have been sort of chip and gravel or compressed gravel. So you get to those 3 houses. One of them is a general store. One of them is, believe it or not, an ice cream shop.
An ice cream shop.
Ice cream shop. And the third one is a bait and tackle shop. And there's people sitting on the porch, and you actually see some people just sort of walking around in very nice clothing, and they don't appear to be locals. And as you look a little farther down towards the docks, you see a couple of recreational boats. Wealthy people have pulled up in boats, and they're down there speaking to the locals. They are refueling, getting some food. There's some kids running around. It's just it's just some people have pulled up to the docks and have just visiting. And there's a couple more buildings down by the docks, and they are like there's outfitters, not outfitters, but people that sell things to people who own boats.
Okay. And you say, does it look like they're like the shops are run by locals that are around here?
You can't tell by looks, but you can certainly, as you pass by, you hear people talking. Some of the older people especially do have a slight Swedish accent, if not a thicker Swedish accent.
Okay. Does anyone look like they're paying attention to me necessarily?
Yes, because of the direction you're coming from, they're noting, they see you drive by. They're talking to each other, but they don't say anything initially. But if you I'm assuming you're going to stop your bike at some point, and when you do, someone will come up to you and say, "Oh, hello. Are you just passing through?"
Oh, yes. Well, I'm actually here with the university. I have a few colleagues, and we're just taking a look at the community here. And on behalf of Mayor Walter Malmstrom, he asked us to come and take a look around and take a look at the bumper crop that's been going on over in Kiruna. So here I am and going through the forest, and wasn't aware we had such a nice resort here, so to speak.
Well, it's very small. It's very small. We get a lot of boaters and fishermen and passers through. The lake is used for some transportation back and forth around this part of Minnesota. So we took advantage of it a number of years ago. It's set up these little shops, and we don't make a lot, but we make a little.
Do well enough to keep going every year, right?
Yes, of course. It's in our nature. We like to supply fishermen and outdoors people with what they need. And would you care to come in? Would you like a coffee or a snack, a sandwich? We have a full service restaurant inside.
Coffee sounds wonderful. It's been quite a day of travels. Yeah.
Okay, so they invite you in. They have coffee with all the things you need for coffee. They have some cookies and pastries, and they have sandwiches.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'll just have a coffee and sit down and kind of hear if I can overhear anything, any conversations going on.
Okay, it's mostly locals in the store now, and they're a little reserved. They're just talking about the day and the weather, and they talk about a ball game that they were listening to on the radio, perhaps something. Nothing outlandish, nothing strange. They may even seem to sound a little reserved to you.
Sure. Okay. I'll finish my coffee and say, well, thank you. I'm going to go take a couple samples around here for some colleagues to research, and I'm going to be on my way back through the woods.
Okay. They say, oh, good. Are you heading back? You're heading back to the community, yes?
Yes, I am.
Oh, good. Yes. You don't. Yes, that's a good plan.
Okay. You don't want me to? There's no lodging around here to stay around. If I happen to stay a bit later, maybe finding some interesting spots of things to collect, or
lodging. No, not unless you had a boat. You could sleep in on the boat. You could dock your boat on the slips, but there's no lodging. No.
Fair enough. Yeah, there's a small enough community here. The mayor mentioned that there might be some services, religious services tomorrow. Would that be in the community over here? I was raised a religious man and would like to, do that on a Sunday.
Oh, then head to the community hall. Community hall.
Okay. Very well. And just in the middle of town in Kiruna?
At the far end of the community, there's the community hall. You should head there tomorrow. Normal time. Church time.
9 a.m. or so.
9 a.m. I don't really know church time.
Fair enough.
Yes.
Okay.
So I would recommend, though, when you're heading back, just stay on the road. The woods are very thick and dark, and yes, stay on the road.
I did notice that on my way through. It was quite entrancing. I just felt very focused on where I was going and what I was doing. Okay. Well, thank you very much. Myself or my colleagues might be back through here just to take a look at things again, or maybe investigate a few other things. But thank you. Coffee's delicious.
Welcome to Karuna. Thank you. Thank you for visiting.
Thank you so much. So I'll go ahead and I'll leave, and I'm a history student, so I'll grab a beaker of lake water, and we'll see if that makes it back for all the
You remember to put a lid on it while you're doing it too.
Yeah.
You don't just sort of rest it on the front of your handlebars or something.
Yeah.
Okay. So you're going to head back then.
Yes. Yeah. Get that sample of lake water and then head back through the woods.
Okay.
I will, since they mentioned, I'll try and listen again through the woods, just because it was brought to my attention. Stay on the path, do this, and kind of piqued my curiosity as to if I could hear or see anything through that foliage.
Okay. Make a listen roll.
That is an 07. That's an extreme success.
Okay. As you're proceeding through the woods, and you are pretty close to the midpoint, you haven't seen anyone on the roadway, and it's just there's no wind. It's warmer inside the woods and moist because of the lack of wind and the foliage and the sun beating down and the wet soil, humid almost. So it's just everything's sort of muffled as you're riding. It's just the sound of your wheels, the sound of your pedals, the sound of the chain, sound of your tires in the gravel. And then off to the north, you hear through the woods a very muffled sound. And it's almost like a rumbling sound. And then you hear a crashing sound, like something falling through the foliage or pushing through thick foliage. And then nothing. And it's back to the sound of the tires and wind. And this was over the sound of your tires. You didn't stop to hear this.
Mm-hmm. Something that was not a tree falling, smaller than that.
It could have been a tree. It could have been a tree falling. It's that
could
sound.
Big.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
But you didn't hear a thud. You didn't hear the sound of like a tree falling and the thud of it hitting the ground. It was more the sound of the movement of the branches, as if a tree was falling and stopped.
Okay. With the way the townsfolk over there greeted me and said, yeah, go ahead and head on back. I'm going to continue on back. I don't want to necessarily stop and investigate this right now.
Okay.
Just to be on the safe side.
All right. So you're heading back. So we'll go back up to the top. Froggy. So you've been wandering around the area you're looking at. You've been looking for, in particular, certain insects, as you noted. And yes, the moths and caterpillars that you were looking for, they're quite a bit larger, and they exist. And these people are using some natural and some more modern methods of keeping critters off their plants, so to speak.
Right.
But these still exist. The cabbage caterpillars, the yellow butterflies.
Problem. Yeah.
Definitely. And they're big. They're butterfly size.
Bigger, huh? Wow.
You do see frogs. You do see, and there you see a few frogs.
Large ones or toads or
like leopard frogs, pickerel frogs, but larger than you would expect.
It's slowly trickling down into the other animals. Hopefully we don't get some really large spiders or and I'm also looking for I'll look for crickets as well, because she mentioned crickets. So if I see, rocks or fallen logs or stuff, I'll flip them over so that I can see if there's crickets. Snag one quickly with my.
Well, I won't make you roll for it. You find a big cricket, and it's big cricket.
It's enormous.
It's like enormous size crickets.
I'll put it into a jar.
It doesn't like it.
My little friend.
It fights back. It's a good sized cricket. Yeah, it's
Well,
definitely
part
like,
of the thing with collecting insects is if you're not afraid of them, then you don't really care if they snap at you or hiss. A lot of them hiss.
yeah. You have a very large cricket, and you can collect samples. The butterflies are hard to catch. Or butterflies, the moths are hard to catch as they are
Yeah, they are hard to catch.
small.
I didn't bring a net.
And the caterpillars, I mean, they're already moths at this time of year. So
Yeah. Oof, I hate those
yeah,
things.
you collect soil and water soil samples as well, I'm assuming.
Yeah.
So yes, you have a good collection of all those things.
I will collect water samples if they have wells.
Yeah, you are in
They
area
irrigate
1
somehow, so yeah.
Area 1, you actually see that there is they've got quite a bit of wet soil there. The soil is good. It's a lower part of the valley, so they don't seem to be trucking in very much water here. The crops, it's area 1 you were going to, right?
No, I'm in 6.
Oh, you're in 6. I'm sorry.
And partly in 2.
Yeah, sorry, that's correct. Yeah, part 6 and 2. Yes, the soil is very sodden here, even this time of year, and there are you did actually see a fire truck parked at someone's house that had been repurposed as a water hauling truck, and you can certainly collect water sample from like some ponded water in an area that's lower.
I might also, if I can find a place where it's not obtrusive, and I might dig a little hole. Maybe dig a hole as deep as I can, because you get to a certain point and the water will start to seep into the hole if the ground has water table, and collect some of that liquid as well, just to make sure.
Sure.
I'm trying to be thorough.
Yeah, of course. Now, just while you mention that, I'd like everybody to roll 1 percentile and tell me what you get.
Oh, just roll percentiles. I got a 97.
32.
62.
99.
Ooh, 14.
And what was yours, Professor Delacour?
99.
That's not it. Ingrid. Ingrid, when just one, as you are poking around collecting samples and putting things in jars, you find an interesting rock. And it catches your eye, and it's you pick it up, or you may, I don't know if you pick it up. Let's say you do the proper thing and you use a jar to.
Yeah, that gets jarred.
Yeah, you jar the sample. You jar the rock. It's sitting on top of the soil in an area where it's rocky, but it doesn't match the same rocky composition of the other rocks in the area. It's like an area of an exposed rock, and it just happens to be sitting up against a rock. And you look at it, you initially think it's a piece of broken glass, and upon inspection, you see it's blue. So it's a blue crystalline stone. Very small.
That I'm going to wait until my 2 little assistants are looking elsewhere, and that is going into my bag. They're not seeing that.
Yep. Yeah. So you collect that. So it's definitely something you haven't seen before. You thought it was broken glass. But you see it's a stone, and you just collect it with the jar and the lid, and you put it in your bag.
Right.
That's it.
And is there anything else? Like, do I get the rest of my samples?
You do that, yeah. No, I'm just going back to Froggy. I'm just, I was just saying that's what you were the person who found that. So yes, Froggy, you've collected all your samples. Is there anything else you're going to do, or?
Well, no, I'm trying to do my timing. I can see off in the distance, maybe them, but I'm going to head back towards the lab that we've set up.
Okay, it's getting close to the afternoon.
I figure by the time I get back is when they'll all be bicycling in.
Sure, that makes sense. So the next person was Ingrid. So you found that stone. Are you doing anything else other than collecting samples, or?
I've got soil. I've got water. I don't think I need anything else at the moment. Besides, I have some things I need to report. So I, come back to where I found my bike with my little assistants, take all my stuff, put it in my bag, and make sure they don't see that particular one jar. Get everything packed up, thank them for their help, and then kick myself on my bike and head back toward the lab, mentally thinking to myself, oh boy, this could be interesting.
Yes, and as you are leaving, the boys say, well, thanks for letting us help you for a while. And the mother says, thanks for taking them off my hands for a while.
Of course.
Could you roll a spot hidden, please?
Oh,
It's probably the best roll.
Well, darn it, this isn't Delta Green. 55 out of 65. So normal.
Okay. You just notice that after all the work you've been doing, the traveling, the biking, the gathering samples, the documenting, taking breaks, it's getting close to the end of the afternoon, not the end of the day, but the afternoon.
Right.
You do notice that there are some people congregating here and there, talking, looking your way. That's it. Nobody looking threatening. Just people are becoming interested.
Right, and I'm getting ready. I'm heading out anyway, so bye-bye.
Yeah. Okay, so you're heading back. All right. So then I guess we are going to, is it Louise or Roy? One or the other. Can't remember who was. I think it was Roy Delcourt next.
Roy will, after collecting all of his samples, he's just going to kind of head on back to the lab. He sees no sense in dilly-dallying. He knows Louise and Froggy will be on top of their stuff, so he doesn't want to lollygag or keep things behind.
Okay. Could you roll a spot hit, please?
Spot hit, sure. Let me see. That is a fail.
Okay. You get back to the cottage, no issues. You probably run into one or two of your colleagues on the way, or at least you see them from a distance as they're heading back. Louise.
Yes.
What is Professor Fontenot doing?
Yes. So if I've done collecting from lot 8, I'll go to collect from lot 4. And if there's nothing of note after that, I'll head back to the house.
Okay. Lot 4, again, the house is off to the right across the road and down the road from the place you've already been. There's nobody at those houses at present. You assume they're probably working the fields. Lot 4 has probably the second largest amount of field space being given to crops, and the crops are quite large. Now, I would say, could you please, do you have a natural world rather? Could you roll that?
I do have natural world, yes.
Just for natural world or biology, whichever you prefer.
Okay. I'll roll biology, that's better. Oh no, that's 100. I was really excited. I saw the doubles, the 2 zeros. It's 100.
Okay. Oh, if it was D&D, I'd let you roll advantage. So I'll just say that you do notice that, as you noticed before, as you were passing through area lot 3 on the road, there's an area that's the lower part of the valley, and that area in that lower part, this is where the larger produce is. You're actually witnessing the larger produce, and it's being loaded onto trucks, and it's being loaded onto wagons, and it's being loaded and pulled by horses and motorized vehicles. Not a lot of motorized vehicles. You do see it firsthand as you're collecting samples this time.
Okay.
People are watching you, but the word is spread now very quickly that the people are taking samples, and so you get the occasional wave, but you do notice that the smiles are kind of more straight across, less up at the edges. So people are sort of a little more nervous about your presence and what you people are doing now. You don't see any threatening behavior. You don't see any threatening looks, but you definitely notice people, the smiles are flattening. Right. So you collect your samples and so that's it. You can all head back. So I will assume now that you're all heading back to the cottage. Nothing outlandish happens. You arrive at dinner time. You can discuss whatever you wish to discuss, do whatever you wish to do.
Well, I found quite a lot of interesting evidence of that something in the soil is being passed into the vegetables, and then to insects and things that prey on insects. I mean, like the Scythophilus maculatus is the biggest thing I've ever seen, and I can't believe it.
Oh my!
One of the farmers' wives that I talked to said that she's being kept awake all night by the sound of these crickets. And I can see with them this size.
Mm.
Yeah.
Now, what I've noticed is that I don't know if any of you have noticed this, but they watch you all the time.
Yeah. Outsiders.
Well,
farm folk are weird.
Perhaps, but I did find the problem was I thought mine were a bit more probing, shall I say? And then I found this. I plot all my samples, for 1 and 5, but then I plot the one that has the rock. Put it on the
strange.
table.
I'm not a geologist, but is that amethyst?
No, I mean, well, amethyst can come in blue, but I'm not a geologist either. Might this be a piece of the meteor?
A broken bottle? Well, I don't know. Honestly, I don't know what meteors look like. I thought they were just like black rocks, but
then again, they said it was green when it exploded, but this is definitely blue.
Well, green didn't the thing say copper because of the green?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
I don't know. It could just be an old broken piece of medicine bottle.
That's what I thought, but it
looks like crystal, right? Not glass.
Right.
I thought it was strange. I don't know what you all saw, but I thought it was strange that these large produce, it's not uniformly across all of these plots of land. Only in some parts, only in some plots. Yeah, and a lot in plot 3. Who checked out plot 3? I didn't get a really good look, but it seemed like there was a lot of really large produce there.
Mm-hmm.
There was a lot of large produce.
Yes, and I noticed in lot 6 as I was passing through the goats. Now, most of the produce was maybe just a little bit bigger, but not by much. But these goats, they were a little bit bigger, but for the goats of their size, they should not have had the horns they had. They were overgrown, much larger, and some of them had been sawn off so they wouldn't harm each other.
What do you mean?
Any large livestock? I didn't see any large livestock. Anyone else? Aside from the goats with the horns.
But
did you say 2 big horns or 2 weird horns or?
Keeper.
They had multiple horns, didn't you say?
They instead of the little nubs, they had multiple nubs in some cases, not uniform. Like they might couple here, 3 there, and they were really weirdly shaped and like
mutation.
Okay.
That's like wouldn't like some sort of mutation in the livestock be like super disconcerting to like a rural farm community?
Yes, it should be.
Like,
unless they just don't they usually sell those things to freak shows?
Yeah, but like how frequently are farm animals like mutating like that? You think like if it's 1 in 100 or 1 in 250, like, okay, that's not that huge. But if it's a whole pen of goats with odd numbers of, or anything more than two horns.
Yeah, that significant of a difference from what it should be normally.
Well, if they're like fish folks, they're going to take it as some sort of portent of, evil.
But I did think it was interesting that it was around that area. Well, okay, now that was lot 6, but it happened to be that in that general area was where I found the rock.
Well, we should
Solomon,
plot out where the vegetables are growing so big and where if it's all in that one area, then maybe you're right. Maybe there was something that fell right there or poisoned that area. Because, some of the private lots, the one I went by, they just look like regular vegetables.
Yeah.
So I don't know.
Yeah, I saw a lot of just normal vegetables too. Solomon, did you see anything way out in like 9?
Yeah, my experience was completely different from all of yours. So I got out into lot 9 before the woods and just kind of tipped my hat on the way through. Went through the woods and, just kind of felt focused on going through. And I come through on the other side and turns out there's this little boating resort on the other side. There's a general store, there's an ice cream shop, a restaurant, wealthy people in nice clothing with nice boats.
Yeah.
They invited me in. I stopped and had a cup of coffee because I thought, well, I should be nice, and if there's going to be anything bad in it, at least they got to boil the water, right? So had that and then talked a little bit about, yes, well, I'm here on behalf of the university. Mayor Walter asked us to come and take a look. So I'm going to get a sample from the lake. So that should be, in the ice box or wherever. But they were quite pointed in saying, yes, go back. And directed me that way. And I inquired briefly about the religious services tomorrow. Said it'd be on the far end around lot 1 or 5 at about 9 a.m. There's a community town hall there.
Yes, the community hall. It's in lot 1.
Okay, there we go. And then on my way back through the woods, just kind of had that same sense of, here I am. The tires underneath my bike were the loudest things I could hear. And then once I got about halfway through, directly to the north, I just started to hear a crashing noise, a loud crashing noise, something that might have even been a tree landing in another tree and stopping it, or something coming through. But to be honest, with how pointed the people on that side of the town were telling me to leave, I decided I'm going to keep moving because I am here by myself. So they were quite direct in that.
You say it was really quiet, huh?
Yes, it seemed.
That's kind of unusual because forests are usually teeming with noisy bugs. And I mean, if the crickets only cricket at night out here in that dark forest, they'll probably be cricketing all the time.
Right, they should be, but I could hear the gravel crush underneath my tires as I was going. Aside from when I heard the crash in the woods on the way back.
Well, to be perfectly honest, I wouldn't mind going in there and looking for bugs, but that's not really what we're here for. We're here for these lots of the vegetables.
Well, you said that the bugs were unusually large. Maybe in the forest you'll see the same.
Mm-hmm.
Well, but see, in the forest they're not eating the plants. So, I mean, they're eating those plants.
Right. But that's another point of data, right?
Did the trees look unusually large?
Not that I noticed, to be honest with you. I just was quite so entranced with the silence in a way.
Everything seems to be pointing to something that happened in the last 2 years. So maybe the meteorite thing is something we should pursue. Let's take a look at the crystal, see if we can figure out what it is.
Look at all these samples tonight and make any observations.
See if there's any.
The housekeepers seem to think we would want to be interested in using the telescope. Perhaps one of us should tonight.
I don't know that the mayor knows anything about science.
I'm more worried about farms.
I mean, I'll I could plop an eye down in there and take a look, but
It's just thoughts.
Just don't be aiming at any farmers' houses and seeing if you can spot them through the windows.
right.
You know, I think I've seen a couple of species of goats that have multiple horns, but usually on a farm, you burn those things off when they're still just buds on their head so they don't grow.
Mm-hmm.
You know, sometimes it kills the goat, the baby goat, but they don't want them tearing each other up, so they usually don't let the horns grow.
Mm-hmm.
That's weird. You start to think that you're running over here with there's some amateurs out there that don't know what they're doing. Now, I'm not even a farmer, and I know that.
And the shapes of the horns, they were
Deformed.
deformed, yes.
Yeah, some kind of weird gene in there that's causing them problems. Might not affect. Maybe it doesn't affect. If the veterinarian said that it doesn't affect the meat any, then
I suppose not. But from what I could see of that giant pig, it didn't seem to be any different than any other pig. It was just large. But these goats in particular were not just large; they were deformed.
Yeah.
So perhaps whatever it is happening doesn't agree with goat physiology or something.
Could the pig have just been a big old sow that they had?
Not that big. That pig was as big as a cow.
Oh.
I know what I saw.
They can be forced. Unfortunately, it's cruel, and like you can force animals like over time to just eat and eat and eat. Most animals have no off switch as far as food is concerned.
Get pretty damn big.
It's like
females.
It is. I mean, given its proximity to all the giant vegetation, obviously, I'm more prone to think that it's connected rather than not. But every step along the way, we encounter something different that seems even more confusing. I mean, a bumper crop for a whole village of large vegetables is one thing, but then adding in extra large pork and goats with many horns, either indicating a new subspecies of goat or a pocket of mutation, or naivety in farmers, which I have a tendency to not believe that they're naive. I don't know about any of you.
No.
Yeah.
But and now a resort for rich people. I don't know what's going on here.
I wonder what the general opinion is on that resort. If they tell us, if we asked about it casually.
But we do what you were just saying. We do know that whatever it is getting into the food chain. I saw a pretty large Neoscona arabesca, which is a spider that's been eating bugs that have been eating vegetables. And it shouldn't be big. You think that resort, how long has the resort been? Do we know?
I don't know.
It's been around a while. Just, it's established.
Okay.
It's not really a resort so much as it's a couple of stores and slips for docks, for boats to dock, and an ice cream shop they've thrown up. It's not a place where people stay. They can sleep on their boats, but there's no, recreation per se.
Probably just people go out fishing. How big a lake was it? Pretty big?
It's a big lake.
Is it connected to anything else? Like, is it interconnected? Like, can they travel a great distance, as it were?
I can tell you. It is a good sized lake. I'm looking right at it. The lake itself is almost as big as St. Paul, Minneapolis.
Okay, that's a sizable lake.
Yeah, it's actually a real lake. So you know.
Yeah. Because It's weird though, because if they have the rural, even the little small shop that's bringing in some sort of like money into the community, you'd think that would have made the little drought bad couple of years less impactful. I don't know.
Did you go inside?
Yeah, I went inside the restaurant and had some coffee, and from the conversation, they're making a little bit of money just to get by. It's not like they're getting rich.
Might just be a bad
what they
investment.
said.
Yeah.
Sounded
Somebody
like
had
everyone was a little closed off as I was in there trying to drink my coffee and listen to what the conversations were.
Well, I'm going to take a look at these. I want to see if there's any animal life in the water, in the soil. Look for nematodes and bacteria and things like that. See what kind of life is going on. If I find a gigantic nematode, I'm going to be like, oh my God, something's really wrong here.
You guys, I'm just going to say it's dinner time. You probably are going to be hungry about now. There's lots of canned food. She left, when you return, you actually see that she's left you a pie, like a shepherd's pie kind of, for all of you in the, or a meat pie, some sort, on the counter for you, wrapped in tea towels or whatever you call them in Minnesota. And so she's left you that. She's come by and left that for you, and some jugs of milk have been replaced in the fridge. So you're taken care of for food if you wish to eat or not. There's canned food, of course. There is tinned food, sardines, crackers. The basic staples that would last a long while in between visits at the cottage. And you're setting up your samples. You're noting what things are. You're getting ready to start looking at them. And there's a knock at the door. Dunk, 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 dunk.
I'm doing the microscope.
Yeah,
So.
I'll go answer it.
Okay. Standing outside the door, you see, with a big, wide smile on his face, a very tall man. Not outrageously tall, just a tall man. A tall man with very close cropped hair and very perfect jacket and a perfect little white shirt done up to the top, no tie, dress pants. And behind him, he has two farmer types behind him. And he says, nice to see you all settled in here. I'm Kevin Olander, Pastor Olander from the community church. I'm here on behalf of the community. I know we've heard that you're here, but you have a letter from the mayor, our good friend, and you're here from your university as well, which is the University Miskatonic, I gather. It's not the university from Minnesota here, we find that a little bit interesting. The farmers behind, big wide smiles on their faces, like big wide smiles. They look put on. He says, I was just wondering, will you be attending services tomorrow? We'd like to invite you personally.
Well, certainly.
Yeah.
Sure, yes.
I'll be there for sure. Yeah.
We'd love to observe your local customs.
What time?
Pass.
Did you say ass or pass?
I said pass.
I heard ass too.
I heard
me
ass. I was
too.
like, that's not Tom.
That's the fun
Damn,
response.
Tom.
That's not Tom on
sorry,
camera.
I used to have to go to church with my parents to the esoteric order. The church, the regular church. Never mind.
He says, well, you're welcome to attend or not. You're even welcome to not attend and come for the meal afterwards. We have a little meal towards late morning afterwards outside. We set out the tables, and we have the flowers, and the girls do dances. And because of course the festival is coming up, you're invited to attend the festival as well on Monday evening. But in the meantime, if you wish to come, it's tomorrow morning, 9 a.m. We can even send a vehicle to pick you up if you like.
You're very kind.
Yes, thank you very much. That'd be lovely.
Yeah.
If there's some food we could bring for the meal, what should we bring?
Oh, you do not worry. This is all traditional food. Traditional foods for the time of year, harvest food. We will definitely be ready for you.
Very well. Okay.
Looking forward
Thank you.
to it.
Thank
Sounds
you.
lovely.
Fantastic.
So he leaves, and they both leave, and there are three of them leave rather, and they get into this very nice older, it's 1925, old for the time car, and they head back down the road into the community. So yes, you're back to doing whatever you're doing, looking at the samples and such. So I would say that that's that's what you wish to do right now. It's
we're like, grabbing dinner, looking at stuff, and as soon as they're gone, I start turning to the rest, and I'm like, I have a very odd feeling about all of this.
Well, they're going to sacrifice a virgin or something, probably. To I don't know.
We didn't
I'm more
even catch
interested
what
in this cricket here, but
Didn't
I'm
even catch
sure
what.
it's a perfectly harmless thing.
Yeah, what order are we talking? Christianity, old world Christianity, something else? I mean,
I'm sure that the Christians were like
I'm sure they're Methodist or something around here. It's fine.
Lutheran, probably if they're
Mhm.
Swedish.
Most likely Lutheran, but yes.
But and then they'll all get together and they'll put little crowns on their heads with little candles and dance around it.
That's
Candle
not until
mass.
Christmas.
That's a candle mass.
I don't know.
Yeah.
I mean, if you guys, I didn't want to seem rude. I'm sorry. I was busy looking at my cricket.
oh, you're fine.
The cricket is large. The cricket is very large, and the cricket is actually making noise in the jar at times.
Yeah.
When you leave it alone, it vibrates right through the glass. It's so loud.
It's a male.
It's male. It's very loud. So I'll just because of the time, I'll skip forward. Let's just say that you're setting out your samples. You're looking at your samples. You're processing them. You're documenting them. And the one thing that stands out is these samples are teeming with life. The soil, when you lay it out on your slide, you add a drop of water so you can view it, teeming with life. And who is the most, I guess, probably Louise. Could you please make a biology roll?
But I don't get 100 this time. Much better. 25, that's a hard success.
25 hard success. The one thing you know when you're looking at the various samples is there is a commonality between them in that there are bacteria in the samples that you don't really recognize. It's hard to say. It's hard to say, but you're just having a little bit of difficulty recognizing this one particular bacteria.
I don't recognize. Does any of you know anything about bacteria biology?
No,
I don't recognize this sample.
I've got biology as well, but
I do too.
You can all make a roll.
I got an 09, but the fact is there are
Nope, that's a
millions
fail.
and millions of species. So
Strange.
Oh,
I'm not saying that you don't recognize it in that it's, the millions of bacteria. It just looks odd.
It's
It
that
doesn't-
different.
It's that different from standard bacteria. It's almost angular.
hard to classify.
Hard to classify. It would be very difficult for you to break it down. And as you're all moving into nighttime, the one thing catches your eye, you actually, you're working, it's starting to get darker and darker. And you do notice, you all progress out onto the patio at times and note that at almost every single house, there is a little fire in the backyard right now as the sun disappears, and they're all having little fires in their backyard, and you can almost hear, and then you can hear the sound of singing. And it's not in unison, of course, but there's just sounds, voices of singing coming from the various houses. That's where we should probably leave it then for tonight, Tom.
Excellent.
Oh, quaint.
Our players included Holly Buteau, Jen Obertaz, Patrick O'Brien, Andrew Bush, and myself, with Sean Little as the keeper of the secrets. We have a Discord server where you can chat with our other members. You can set up private games. You can learn the finer arts of gameplay and game mastering. We provide audio-only versions of our shows free for you to download from Podbean or iTunes. If you'd like to help support our show, please visit our Patreon account. Just $1 to a month helps us a lot. Like, share, and subscribe to our channel and punch the bell icon for updates on our latest shows. And leave us some comments. We enjoy reading them and answer any questions you might have. This is Tom Rayleigh, together with all the members of our gaming club, inviting you to journey with us once again into the darkness for another adventure into the universe of H.P. Lovecraft and the Call of Cthulhu role-playing game. Until next time, good luck and good gaming.